knowing we have some complexity and difficulty in this industry, sometimes people say the music is too hard to invest. Okay, that's fair enough, and I also agree to some extent. But still, we believe we should invest in music primarily out of 50 million.
This podcast is sponsored by Allfeed, a decentralized blockchain solution for the music industry. Produced by Amplitude Ventures, your partners in early stage music tech. Yamaha is making a bold move of investing in audio and music tech. Learn more in this episode as Scott talks about why they're doing it, how it might change the industry, and what it means for anyone interested in music. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Sound Connections podcast. Today I've been really looking forward to this episode. It is with Scott from Yamaha. Welcome.
Hi, good to be here. Thanks, Dabo.
I read an article, I guess it's 2 months ago, where Yamaha announced that they're going to be investing $50 million in audio tech and music tech, which I thought that's really interesting. And I asked Scott to be on the podcast, and he said yes. So thank you for being here.
Hi, nice meeting you, Jacob.
Scott, for the people who don't know who you are, can you tell us who are you and what do you do?
Right. My name is Scott Sugino. I am now President and CEO of Yamaha Music Innovations. You might be surprised, I worked for Yamaha for 17 years. That's a long time. And now company started to start a fund. I'll be in charge of that to start.
Amazing. And now you're based in Silicon Valley. I've read the press releases and I'm really excited to sort of go deep into the reasoning for doing this. Obviously, music and audio is at a crossroad now, probably for the better. Maybe if not, it's very unknown. I'm definitely more positive now than I was a year ago. Mm-hmm. So it's really interesting to sort of follow and figure out what is your reason, Yamaha's reason to do this and start this. Scott, just to get some context in your conversation and your perspectives, you said you've been working with Yamaha for 17 years. Can you just briefly go through the journey with Yamaha and why you are leading this effort?
Right. I started my career from very niche division where we call it semiconductor division. I have been promoting semiconductor chips to a smartphone manufacturer, TV manufacturer, and some automotive guys. And after that, I was transferred to corporate planning division, where now I really start understanding Yamaha's main business, which is, of course, music instrument and audio equipment. After spending 3-4 years, the company transferred me to Europe, where I was managing a European sales subs as a part of board team. And I have been faced one biggest issue in Europe, which was honestly, I have to say, musical instrument market is more matured, not growing aggressively as it should be. That's one of the biggest reasons how Yamaha started this corporate venturing. We needed something to boost the market and also our business. That's the one reason behind it.
And that makes sense. Yamaha has been, I don't know how long it's been, since I was a very, very kid, that's been in homes. Mm. And music has definitely fundamentally changed the last 30 years. And I can imagine how Yamaha also produces and looks at music. So what in particular was the reason that you got chosen for this?
Yes, and that's interesting question. And maybe I would say because I was in corporate planning and also I was in the market field in Europe, sales front. Therefore, I do understand both sides. At HQ corporate planning, I could really understand what kind of assets we have internally, and also some business needs and issue which every business unit has. That's what I think some deeper understanding of ourselves. I mean, Yamaha itself is one of the biggest reasons I was chosen. Hopefully. And plus, you might be, again, surprised. We have got 138 years.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know this. Yeah. Yeah, so I definitely do remember. That's for sure. Amazing. So basically, I might be paraphrasing, but just to understand the basics before we go into the conversation is Yamaha has seen, especially in Europe or the Western markets, that instruments and music has matured. It's a market that's not disproportionately growing. And Yamaha sees and believes that there's still an opportunity in music. You guys want to partake in those new opportunities that are involved in music. And that's the reason why this is big. Yeah.
Totally. And plus, I would and about timing. Why now?
Yeah.
Okay, during 138 years, a lot of things happened. But right now, looks like one of the biggest changes in music tech and industry could happen. Of course, affected by AI. And also, not only that, how people listen to music, how people enjoy the music, both physically and digitally, is strongly changing right now. That's also one point why we starting about now.
Yeah. That's really interesting. We talked briefly about before the episode that you were listening to Daniel Nuago's the industry professor's conversation, and he's very optimistic about the music industry, which is really interesting. You might have noticed that I came quite depressed into that conversation, but that's the beauty. Again, it's really this. Is it going this way? Is it going that way? And as far as I understand, like the people who really knows what they're talking about, which is not me, they're optimistic, which is great. And I'm in the journey myself through sort of our activities to also figure out where is the opportunity in music tech, because, frankly speaking, music tech is an interesting industry, and oftentimes you see very underfinanced startups. You see brilliant entrepreneurs that are not living up to the opportunities they usually would have from other industry, because it's a particular beast, and oftentimes it's smaller. It doesn't mean that there can't be outsized returns on your tickets, on your investments. It's a different space. What's really interesting about Yamaha is that you guys come with a lot of years of experience within this space. And I guess that's also the biggest differentiating factor from a lot of the VCs that I have relationships with that has music as a vertical. But it's a part of, it might be part of gaming or, lifestyle or whatever. It's sort of packaged in many different things where they, VCs might say, well, music is something to invest in, but in reality, there's 4 investments in the portfolio that's music, if that makes sense. And as far as I understand your objective, like you guys are going heavily for audio music tech. Yeah. So $50 million is obviously a good amount within this space. Where do you see this going? Like, where do you guys see the potential?
Right. As you just said, knowing we have some complexity and difficulty in this industry, sometimes people say the music is too hard to invest. Okay, that's fair enough, and I also agree to some extent. But still, we believe we should invest in music primarily out of 50 million. The thing, especially also after listening to your conversation between you and your professors, and you said you even some negative sort of, and he was like an optimist. Now, and at the same time, I was thinking like, okay, a lot of changes happening right now, but I also noticed something that doesn't change, that will not change, even after 138 years.
Yep.
The very simple, simplistic way, they have got artists one side. The other side with some fans and audience. They play some music, they create some music, they listen and enjoy music. Throughout some, over histories, there was cassette, vinyl, CD, MD, CD, streaming and such. Like also some interesting medium. But this kind of structure will never ever change. Okay, in Europe, you guys are invented the musical instrument in the mid-century or even before that. Some bourgeois people sponsored. They forced the artists, let them play, and they somehow the more rich people enjoyed it. Okay, who plays and who will enjoy the music and how could be changed, but this kind of static structure has never ever changed. That was my belief. Therefore, I am going to, in constructed way or structured way, investing in this structure of the music tech. The content itself can be changed. That's my initial thoughts. Also, after listening to your podcast as well.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting because obviously it's going to be very hard to argue with that, and I definitely agree and believe that, and it's not even a question. That's correct. I think what the traditional argument is beyond that, it's not so much can there be made money on music. It is compared to where I can make my money elsewhere. That's often because in our sort of venture studio structure, we have 22 investors, and let's be frank, like none of them are from music, so they've invested in the team. Because I can't confidently say, like from an industry perspective, this is better than others. But what I say is, I believe that we have an angle that is a unique opportunity that could fit into your portfolio. So yeah, oftentimes I tried to myself not precision music as something incredibly different. Times it's weaker in general, but with also comes an opportunity, because then specialized experience often is what it takes to be successful. Is that also your philosophy to it, or like where do you again, Yamaha also does more things than just music. You have chosen music for a reason to set this up with. Like, where do you see the opportunity that others might not see it?
I don't think we have really new out of nowhere. I would rather feel like music is more fundamental of human beings' desire.
Yeah.
Jacob, you have got small children. I've got small son. We just found out we don't need to teach kids about music.
No, yeah.
They can just start singing, start dancing with music without being taught. I think again, it's even same for ancient human beings. They invented half fire. They naturally start dancing, doing some festival. That's on top of static structure between artists and fans, and also fundamentally the strong desire or design in our DNA about music is not going to go away. AI cannot take this from us. That's also one belief. And music is going to exist in 2,800 years, for example. That's something I'm confident about it, to be honest.
Is it, you've mentioned several times that Yamaha is old, and what I'm wondering when I hear you talk is, because you see music as a fundamental and you might be patient, then
right. That's right.
Other investors, we got to invest and we got to sort of liquidate within 10 years, which obviously probably also is your philosophy. But I can imagine that you also look at music at a longer timeline than here and now and setting up a VC. That makes sense. Does that play into this whole decision?
Yeah, sure. And I think we have to invest and support startups in the longer term. Otherwise, that's really not working. Same thing in musical instrument. Students, we have to keep teaching boys and girls and to master music piano. They might have purchased one digital piano, for example, 10 years old. I think they might come back after 5 to 10 years again. So that's on how longer time or longer connection is needed in this industry. That's based on our experience.
Yeah. And how do you balance the view on returns on the actual fund within a given time frame, and then the long-term effects and synergy with what Yamaha has as a brand? Like, how do you calculate those two up against each other?
Right, and to be fair, we have not started yet. We're starting in May, so that's but my design right now of my blueprints would be, let's say, financial returns. I think we have to wait 6-7 years at a minimum. It takes time for startups to grow. But when it comes to strategic return, we've got quicker, smaller one and bigger one. So when it comes to a smaller, quicker one, this is something we can utilize Yamaha's assets, which I have understood in corporate planning times. And we can push our HQ, our business units to collaborate or even contribute to startups.
Yeah.
Some POCs, some collaborations. That's something I can say as a quicker, smaller collaborations. I think we have already started several collaboration, even without investment already in this year. And okay, let's keep on or expanding our collaboration, and let's sometimes utilize investment cards sometimes, and then we can finally make a big project together with the startups to really impact music culture or musicians' life and creativity itself. That's how I see it. This could take some longer time compared to Quickcom, but this is kind of portfolio in terms of timeline of returns. Otherwise, my boss from Japan is going to call me. What are you doing? I have to be accountable for it as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. So, what is the expectation from Yamaha? Like, do you guys have any like public KPIs that you would need to hit with this fund?
To be honest, I'm still discussing with them as well.
Mm.
Of course, I have to explain this sometimes takes time.
Yeah.
But the direction which I am looking at, also Yamaha as a corporate is looking, is almost aligned in regard of, okay, first, we don't really have a specific KPI, but how we expand, grow, contribute to musicians, that's a strong direction which we both pass through.
Yeah.
For example, number of musicians has been improved or grown up, or in the matter of fact, some students is dropped out after they purchased piano and guitar. After 3 months, is okay, this is too hard, too difficult. I'm busy with something else and I stupid. If we could somehow prolong how much they enjoy playing piano and guitar, that's definitely one of the biggest strategic return for Yamaha already.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So retention through technology.
Yeah, that's a strong differentiation from us being a CVC and just, again, like a pure financial venture capital.
It's really interesting, and I think it does answer a lot of my questions as of why. Obviously, I support and cheer you guys on. There's also a big question like why, and basically what you're saying is you believe that a big contribution to your financial return short term will also be a part of you guys having powers to potentially help or make things faster or better for the startups you invest in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of like a quite unique value proposition you have. But then also, at the long run, besides the financial returns, you are investing into your relevance over time. You're investing into retention of products that will use that they're from you. And that's sort of two-sided things I definitely see can argue for setting up this. What is your take on the current investment landscape or the previous investment landscape that has been in music tech in general? Like how do you read the market? Like, do you believe it to be underfinanced? Do you believe it to be appropriately financed? Like, what's your experience or reflections upon what has been when it comes to music tech financing?
If you ask me about financial aspects of music tech, I have to openly, publicly admit I'm not that experienced investors. I am more like a pure beginner in this industry, to be honest. You have to educate me how to do it. Yeah. But this is something that I'm just working on right now and then trying to, welcome very experienced investors and also financial manager in our team. So I think they can help in terms of financial way. And I think the point Yamaha to succeed is how we can integrate both financial aspects and strategic aspects, especially because the market is not that easy in terms of financial things. And as I have mentioned, utilizing our assets is one of key. And also, I think Yamaha is the only one who can strongly help startups or founders, which most VCs cannot do.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how we saw it.
Yeah. Not because everything you read on LinkedIn is credible, but I read a quite interesting long post on LinkedIn that was sort of like a professional survey about teams, and the post was, again, I don't know how credible it was, but it was a very interesting read. 90% of VCs do not contribute to startup success, and they're believed to be I might be butchering the numbers, but 30 to 40% of VCs that are directly counterproductive to startup success. In other words, like only 10% of VCs effort to help startups with the actual business beyond financing, which for me was just very surprising because I think the sentiment for VCs, and it might just be a personal excuse for working in a very capitalistic environment, is we also help startups, which I oftentimes struggle to see how even we have different investors in our portfolio, and I'm very happy they're on board. But most of the times, if one of our investors has an opinion, I listen to it, but as an opinion. Rarely do you find people who are more qualified to address how I run my business than me and my chairman. That's what to, and everything else is like a qualified opinion, and I'll give it my best. Uh-huh. But that's also how I see most investors. It's rarely that they have enough feel and touch on what someone is doing to actually understand how they need to approach it.
Yeah, that's absolutely also matching with my hypothesis, let's say. Because as you just said, 90% VCs kindly invest, but they don't help startups. That is also one of the biggest reasons it's a little bit for hard times, tough times for startups to grow in this industry.
Yeah.
So that is something Yamaha, even though we just came here in last year, quite ready to come here, but also having that we have got some strong assets in this industry and plus some funds to invest. So I think this, I say, like a double wheels to run.
Yep. Yeah, and obviously, the goal of a fund is selling stuff at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
I think it's very realistic to say that Yamaha will probably be experts in M&As, probably experts in buying and selling stuff within this. That is what finances a fund. That is what sort of returns the investment. So it's very interesting. But I'm sort of circling back to my question, and you did answer it quickly, but I'm just trying to reiterate it just to see if I can get a clear answer of it. Where do you believe the financing level has been in music tech until now? Do you believe it's been underfinanced? Do you believe it's been appropriately financed? I know you said you sort of knew, but has been still a sense of it this last year.
So, Jacob, what do you mean in terms of investment, financial?
Macro level, do you believe that the investment environment for music tech startups has been favorable? What environment are you guys placing yourself in?
Right, and okay. Just this is my kind of guesstimation on what I'm smelling right now is and for founded startups, it's really looks like a tough situations in terms of financial things, or they're raising money. I think it's because of both. Of course, market itself is really in some AIs to over every money goes there. Plus some stereotypes and around situation surrounding startups and music industries a little bit tight right now, even though a lot of interesting startups popping out right now. So that's how I see it. It's now definitely a difficult situation in terms of financial in terms of startups perspective.
And in connection with that, what's your thoughts about using your money as validation capital? If let's say some startups are doing larger rounds, and you would come in sort of validation capital, is that a big part of your strategy, or?
No, I think we more can go for early stage, like a seed and Series A.
Yeah,
we would do like a 401 investment if they would grow as expected.
Yeah,
so I think we more can go for early stages.
I think one of the things that sort of I believe is quite unique with the music tech industry is valuations. And what I generally see, I I haven't really said that, but like Amplitude Ventures has been going for some very random reason. We have really been lucky with hiring really great researchers, especially in Africa. And I am this group of amazing professors that sort of had like had an opportunity in their time schedule to start studying music tech, and I've actually hired 2 professors researching music the last 3. And we've been doing some really, really interesting findings that I haven't been able to see before. And right now we have around 400 deals that we've analyzed, the M&As, investment amounts, and stuff like that. What we do see the tendency of, which is also what I hear from colleagues, or I don't know, investor colleagues. I'm not an investor person. You get what I mean. Is sort of the valuation, which you invest in, but then also the exit. Maybe not to put words in your mouth, but again, what we see is that generally speaking, valuations are significantly lower than other ventures when it comes to sort of what stage they're in. I'm not talking, but like, company life cycle. But then also the exits, generally speaking, has lower valuations compared to, other markets where it's much bigger TAMs. It might be a leading question or not, but what's your perspective on that? Do you believe also that the valuations that you will come in with will be lower than other tech industries, and the sales you will do will also be lower, or do you have totally different expectations? You guys are based in Silicon Valley, so the realities might be different from what I'm seeing.
Right. And no, Jacob, honestly, I have to say, for me, I'm not ready to answer that questions because I have not yet started investments.
No.
Okay, in terms of investor perspective, okay, valuation is not too high or too expensive. That's my hope.
Yeah.
But look, and of course, Jacob, I have to, get some financial returns on my fund, the 50 million, which I'm going to invest. But I clearly and honestly and openly say, this is not my top priority.
No. Okay.
I have to somehow keep some money to keep this activity ongoing forward. Rather, I clearly say strategic or return for my fund, for my parent company is top priority.
Yeah.
That's a still, issues. Of course, I cannot escape some, financial obligation to them.
Obviously.
Yeah. But that is something I can say about it right now.
I think, this might be a funny comment, but like, since we started the conversation also before we recorded, there's sort of one thing that I found very interesting, and that is speaking with you. You come from branding, you come from storytelling, you come from context and commercialization, and the choice of placing you in the middle of this very, like, I would call it innovative project, even though it's not innovative in the grand scheme of investment, but like within this particular space, I think that's really innovative. And the choice that I see now is like really stating where the value is. The value, obviously, for any venture fund needs to be in returns from a perspective. But the storytelling that you're bringing, and also the storytelling that Yamaha is coming with when they place you as this, is a more softer values than just, if that makes sense. And I think that in itself is an incredibly interesting statement because I often hear of soft values from governmental organizations that are financed by the European Union, which, I love, so I have nothing against that. But it's hard to fully believe the value when soft funded. But here we have this combination of like this hard cash funding, but with the soft value first, if I may say that, which for me is just a very interesting statement, which is probably like the unique thing about this for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And even everybody from Yamaha board, like global CEOs, like a CFO, and everybody 100% agrees on. They didn't call it soft. They do. Even CFO from our company agreed. I don't put the financial return as a top priority. 100%. Okay. Honestly, our company has got enough amount of cash. Okay, in terms of like a business, we are somehow struggling in some places. Okay, doing good somewhere, not making great money every year, but this more than typical behavior from Japanese company. They didn't have a good opportunity to invest in.
Yeah.
And also, they're humbly saying they have got enough cash. Therefore, Scott, okay, you have to make money, but you don't need to make a lot of money. Rather than that, you have to do it like soft strategic return. For example, expanding musical instrument market or musician market. And plus, I totally get it. And plus, and I think we all, I think even you would agree, I think we have to really change the world. I mean, in terms of how they enjoy the music or how they enjoy spare time.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. I sometimes watching YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. I'm a little bit getting too old too for TikTok, but I don't really like the people who are spending spare times at night.
Yeah.
And doing like this for 2 hours.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Producing nothing.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what I have just watched like 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Okay, they've got some good quality of content, but at the same time, we have to say some not so good content at the same time. Especially having a smaller kids like you and me, I don't want them to spend precious time doing like this. That's a strong wish from me, from Yamaha, little bit contribute a little bit to that guide world in a better way. In the end of the day, we will be very happy thanks to the direction of the world and how to enjoy speaking with a lot of people enjoy music. Some people want to play piano, guitar. That's kind of the future we have to make. That comes first.
I've had very interesting conversations on this specific topic the last few weeks. We'll have another episode out also where we speak a lot about this. And a year ago, again, referring back to, I have been depressed about music for a while, but really from the angle that, I have a master's in music production. Means my association with music has been the craft. Even though I've never been a craftsman, that's still my association to creating music. And I know my kids will not have the same association to music one-to-one had, which also what I see in that perspective is the dreams shatter because change of financial realities amongst my
right.
So that's been my thing. What has slowly brought me towards a more optimistic side is exactly your point. Is that as things have come oversaturated for the last many years when it comes to dopamine hits and platforms and that, but then with the even more powerful element of new technology like AI.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, and that's also what I hear consensus around all conversations I have, that there's going to be a counter reaction to that. People seeing the real, that's why the live music industry is really interesting right now. It's like, so they're probably going to be the ones to really see the biggest upswing of like looking for real moments, looking for real connections. But that's also going to happen through technology. Like, it's not so much about taking distance from technology. It's like getting closer to technology that somehow engages you in a different way, that somehow stimulates you in a better way that is opposite of this mass consumption of, as you said, maybe less contributing content to your health and your body. And music is one of those things that universally, through time, that has provided that to people. And that, I believe, is the strongest argument that I have right now to why music will grow. It is, in most cases, the most natural counter-reaction to what has experienced for 10 years and now experiencing much faster with new technology.
Right. Yeah, that's how I see it. And the possibility of technology can really enhance our life.
Amazing. Well, it does make me hopeful. And for me, one of the things that I've really missed is cap in between this industry, but also capital that is more than just one-off investments. What I see with a lot of VC investments is that it's very like random VC firms that investing in music tech. Warner Music comes out with some great reports, and I have a lot of friends, especially from Europe, that does these sort of investor lists of like who has invested in music tech. The big issue with those lists is that these are companies where it's either the first time they invest in music tech, maybe second time, but it's not because there's any particular strategy to that investment. It's just they believe they're the founders, they believe in the product, which obviously is a great way to invest, but it doesn't prove anything.
Right.
It doesn't showcase anything. So my belief is, in order to really showcase the value of this industry, you need to have many tickets with a singular mindset that can prove something. Because then you take this randomness a tiny bit out of the picture. Like that's the whole concept of fund. You need to diversify investments. But if you diversify investments in one direction, the trends and results and the outcomes can much more easily be argued for being good versus bad. One of investments rarely provides that.
Yeah, absolutely. And after our conversation, I feel like, okay, Yamaha now can really not like a capital fund. Like a passion comes first, belief, possibility comes first, together with some capital.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you kindly described our difference or meaning of existence, for example. That was a great finding. Yeah.
You guys are placed in a industry of investors that can seem very void out of especially in Silicon Valley. Again, I'm just very generalizing. But chasing opportunities is the ROI that invest and hitting those unicorns. But the problem with that is the good that those investments do in the world tend to be very random, if that makes sense. Like it's and there's nothing wrong with that per se. It's just, I think there needs to be differentiation in anything anyone does. And seems to be your take. Do you see in your local environment, and now you've been in Silicon Valley for a year, do you see any excitement amongst other investors to go into this space? Like, what's the feel you get for this space?
Right. So far, what we are hearing especially in Silicon, not only Silicon Valley, looks like everybody has been kindly excited about Yamaha is coming in this world.
Yeah.
Maybe, some rare guy is going to invest some money in music industry after a while. And plus, it looks like they are excited about our assets as well. Not only money, we've got great numbers of customer database, including musicians, students, and kids.
Yeah.
This could be, I think the strongest way for Yamaha can contribute to founders and startups. I think we can test those very good potential services with our existing customers. We can instantly check they like it or not. This person they like it, so we can give good feedbacks to them, living feedback, and so we can do together go up spiral to improve after all. So
yeah,
definitely something VCs cannot bring to startups.
Yeah.
And also in one way we can strongly contribute to our portfolio companies.
Yeah, and if we want to make that even more basic, and again, now this is not going to count for all companies, but what I also hear you saying is companies that you invest in not only potentially get money, but potentially also save money, if that makes sense. Because that journey you just described is, you can spend millions and millions on
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Getting to a place where that's, whether it's even remotely reasonable to get results. Of course, I understand that's not a promise you make to every single startup, but just having that opportunity, I think it's really interesting because that means capital you bring in is a piece of the package and not that alone. So we briefly touched upon it, but validation capital or co-financing, like, do you believe that you guys are going to invest ticket sizes that are going to be like the entire round? Like, do you believe that most of the investment cases you'll see that you will need other investors that you help bring in, or what's your scenario there?
Right. I think we primarily thinking to just do minor investments.
Yeah.
Not taking the lead or board of the startups, just more like hopefully we become a board observer.
Yep.
Yeah. That's our priority.
And do you believe that, some scenarios will be where like a music tech founders would come to you and you would recommend them to go to others? Or do you believe that's going to be like, how do you imagine this sort of dynamic happening?
Right. I think, okay, it's not started, but I'm imagining like Yamaha should take part or even help to construct like a music investors ecosystem.
Yep.
Like, for example, me, you, I don't know, bigger one like Live Nation, Sony Music, Universal, whatever. So we form some music ecosystem.
Yeah.
Everybody has got different assets and what perspective we can discuss, and we can strongly, mutually, collaboratively help startups and ecosystem. I have not started anything yet, but I think that's something my hope. Then having such partnership and ecosystem together should really solve the problem of the founders in music ecosystem.
Okay.
Knowing that because this is not that easy industry to start a business or to get good investment.
Absolutely, 100%. And that's also my future vision. We work on some current projects right now that's sort of touching upon what you're saying, because also what I see is even when you have great founders, good financing is not guaranteed. And oftentimes great ideas with great teams just never get to a place where they even can get proper financing. And I think where I see, let's say, Amplitude Ventures and the partners that I have around us currently see a lot of opportunity and also impact is the early stages. Because especially in music tech, what we see is there's a really, really big funding gap between friend, fools, and family, and even a pre-seed. Like, even in between there, and depending on what kind of tech product you need, like building a functional MVP within this space or in any space within tech can easily be $500,000, $1 million US. And oftentimes in some more traditional tech things, that's the first amount. Like that's a small pre-seed. But oftentimes, especially in Europe, that's actually considered in music tech a seed round. Like,
right.
So I believe that intersection between the first money with people around you and maybe some investors, angels that are even just, here's my money, try to make something fit, to there's some seriosity in investment. That funding gap is really difficult because there's not this scale of investors that are ready to risk. And what you are addressing is what I believe to be the next step. So again, there tends to be very big, strong investment opportunity in friends, fools, and family because it's music. Then there's a really big gap between that to like.
Got it.
Then there's also a gap from now they've gotten in European standards a seed to now they need to go to something again in European context, something that's sort of almost Series A, which is obviously much smaller than American Series A's. So in my book, that's where you placed the between the we've got enough money to make something to like now we need to grow, and there's also a funding gap. So again, I see you placed in that funding gap, which I think is really interesting. Obviously, with the partnerships I have and the capital that we have available, that's not possible. But again, so we're trying to focusing on the early stage. So that's really interesting because I believe what you're addressing now is a gap, and I see
Yeah, that's an interesting point, and I think we should somehow. Of course, we cannot do by ourselves. Yamaha only, maybe with Jacob's team and a lot of things. We have to somehow create an, continuous tunnel or funnel to
Wait, sorry,
support
Andrew,
them.
you don't know the podcast. That's not how it needs to be. No, yeah, but that's really interesting because that's as you just quickly joked about there, but that is what I'm seeing right now. Is I'm
That's a good point. Yeah.
agreement with money people that
Mhm.
there are certain parts of the funding journey that could just be stronger, and the hypothesis is if you just make those gaps stronger, like there probably will be much more successful music tech case on a level.
Right. That's true. We have to really expand or increase the number of founders who is trying, who go through some rounds, and in the end of the day, hopefully some 1 to 3 unicorns came out in the music industry. But I think for me, again, it's not top priority in the end. We have to really support in the first stage, second phases, as you just said. I totally agree with it, Jacob.
Yeah. Scott, this has been a great conversation, and I am very happy that Yamaha chooses to have this as a focus. I believe that there is potential music tech. It might be different metrics than what usual investors would be looking at, but just even from a capitalistic side, like there is potential music tech. But one of the biggest issues is readily available financing that has specialized knowledge, which also means that the due diligence can be made.
Mm-hmm.
And having an environment where founders choose the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the financing environment is poor, and therefore also as a result, the reward side of it is also, the best founders won't choose this. And the only realistic thing I see as like a very tangible way of addressing this, that's of all my sort of exploration the last 18 months, that is the one conclusion I come to, is you need to start with. Not everything else solves itself because of it, but it is the most crucial thing to get done before we're going to see results from what founders choose to go into it, how much they can exit for, and how companies do well.
Yeah, got it. That's true. Yeah, that's of course inevitable.
Yeah.
Besides fund, and of course, hopefully we bring both capital and some contribution from our side to founders and ecosystem. That's my hope. Or manifesto, let's say, from Yamaha.
Amazing.
Capital and contribution. Yeah.
Thank you, Scott. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, good. Thank you very much, Jacob. So much fun to chat with you.